Now on Sunrise and streaming on crossroadstoday.com. The U.S. strikes Yemen overnight. Details of what Houthi leaders are saying in response. And new details released about the teenage shooter who killed 4 students and teachers last month at his Georgia high school. Plus, beloved singer Liam Payne is dead after falling from a balcony in Argentina.
And after that cool front came through the Crossroads yesterday morning, we're looking at another lovely fall day today. Look at the temperature change out there. Is it going to be as nice as yesterday for the rest of this week? I'll talk about that in the weather coming up.
And the Battle of Victoria happened on the volleyball court last night. I'll give you the highlights and more in sports.
You're watching 25 News Now Sunrise. Good morning, Crossroads, and happy Thursday. Hope you're having a great start to your morning.
Yes, great Thursday morning and a happy Friday Eve because we're only one day away from the weekend.
That's right, Parker. And we have a beautiful supermoon, a hunter's moon, here to remind us that hunting season is right around the corner.
That's right.
Deer hunting season starts on Election Day this year, Parker.
That's right, it does. And actually, right after I'm done with weather, I'm going to go out there and try and see if I can get a good picture of the moon.
You're going to go shoot the moon?
Yeah, I'm going to go shoot the moon. That's funny. I'm going to go see if I can get a picture of the moon because it is pretty big out there. I just went out there and looked. But if you're going to go get a picture of that moon this morning, it's pretty nice out there. It's actually a little bit chilly. I might maybe recommend a light jacket out there because you're looking at Victoria. It's 56 degrees right now, all courteous of that cold front that came through yesterday morning. But do point out a lovely 39 degrees, bringing humidity to a much more comfortable 53% this morning after that front came through, bringing us some much more drier weather. But looking at the temperatures all across the board this morning, we're all hovering in the mid 50s right now, unless you're along the immediate coast, you're in the low 60s because you're right next to that warm 80-degree water. But looking at your humidity, like I was just saying, usually at this time of the morning, we're looking at humidity values at like 80 to 90% right now. We're all loving the 40 to 50% range this morning after that drier air has settled in finally. And why we're still seeing a little bit of that dry air right now is because we still have a northeast wind coming out of the north right now. And that's going to continue until we get to the afternoon today. And then once we get to the afternoon and all the way into the weekend, we're going to start picking up a Gulf wind coming out of the Gulf, bringing back our humidity and slowly warming us back up to the upper 80s. But if you're seeing your kiddos at the door this morning, send them out with a cool morning, maybe a light jacket, but they're going to be a beautiful day later today. We're talking about the details on that coming up next. Carolina.
A Victoria man pleads guilty to stalking. Victoria police arrested 67-year-old Wood Brown. He's accused of stalking a woman several times starting in May of 2023. He was transferred to a mental facility in April to receive court-ordered mental health services with the goal of restoring him to competency. Wednesday, Brown pled guilty to the third-degree felony charge. He was sentenced to deferred adjudication with 4 years of community supervision and ordered to pay a fine and court cost. A Victoria West High School student is arrested after she allegedly claimed to have a weapon on campus. A Victoria County Sheriff's Office School Resource Deputy, or SRO, investigated and found a 14-year-old student told another student that she had a weapon in her bag. The second student immediately reported this information to an assistant principal. The student later admitted that she made the statement to the second student. The student was taken to the Victoria Juvenile Detention Center and charged with false alarm report, a state jail felony. No weapon was found. The United States confirmed a round of strikes in Yemen against the Iran-backed Houthis. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin says the strike targeted 5 underground weapons storage facilities using B-2 stealth bombers. The U.S. strikes on Yemen come as Israel is expected to retaliate for Iran's recent missile barrage. In response, Yemen's Houthis have vowed that the U.S. will, quote, pay the price. The strike is the latest in a saga of back-and-forth attacks by the Houthis and the U.S. We're learning more about the teenager accused in a deadly school shooting in Georgia. Court documents now reveal a shrine in his home, raising more questions about what his father knew and when.
This morning, chilling new details about the Georgia school shooting that left 4 dead last month. Investigators claim the shooter wrote a meticulous plan in a notebook, listing locations in the school to target, even detailing what he would wear.
We do know from detailed notebooks that he had written in about his plan for the shooting that he had intended on wearing that vest.
Revelations came during a probable cause hearing for Colin Gray, the suspect's father, who also faces murder charges. Prosecutors say he was aware of his son's deteriorating mental health and of his fascination with mass murder. They described a shrine the teen allegedly made to school shootings in their home, which included pictures of Parkland, Florida school shooter Nikolas Cruz.
He stated that originally Colt had a picture of some rock-related individual hanging on the wall, but that picture had been taken down and the picture of Nikolas Cruz had been hung where that picture was on the wall.
The teen allegedly came to school with his long gun wrapped inside a poster board to look like a school project. Before opening fire, police say Colt texted his parents that he was sorry. His mother says she warned the school after getting that message.
Between my gut feelings, the text messages, y'all need to go, run to the classroom.
Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, New York.
And that leads us to your viewer poll. You can scan the QR code on your screen to take part. We want to know, should there be stricter gun regulations for those under 21 years of age? 74% of you say yes, and 26% of you say no. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part in our viewer poll. Liam Payne, a former singer in one of the world's biggest boy bands, One Direction, has died at the age of 31. Authorities in Argentina are confirming through Telemundo that Payne died after falling from the third floor of a hotel balcony in Buenos Aires yesterday. Police say there were calls placed to 911 reporting an aggressive man who could be under the influence of drugs or alcohol. Authorities have not said if drugs or alcohol were involved. Former President Jimmy Carter has cast his vote in the 2024 election. Officials from the Carter Center say the 39th president voted by mail Wednesday in Georgia. It comes on the second day of early voting in his home state. His grandson Jason Carter has said publicly the former president intended to vote for Kamala Harris and has looked forward to casting his ballot. Carter turned 100 on October 1st, becoming the first former president in the U.S.'s history to do so. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. The time is now 6:37. Looking at our clock up here on our Thursday morning. And here's a look at what's coming up on 25 News Now Sunrise. We take you to the county fair and we see what animals you can expect there.
Both presidential candidates spent their Wednesday stepping outside of their comfort zone. I'm Christiane Cordero with the latest on the campaign trail coming up.
And also coming up next after the break in the full forecast, it's going to be another beautiful day all across our beautiful state. I'll tell you how nice it's going to be here on the Crossroads, but coming up later on Sunrise, we're going to continue looking at what's trying to form out there in the tropics. Well, good morning, Crossroads. You're looking live in Cuero this morning. Still a little bit chilly out there this morning. Right now, sitting at 55 degrees up in Cuero. I might recommend a little light jacket or something. Dew point, though, a lovely 36 degrees, bringing humidity to 50% this morning. So that is definitely very comfortable out there. You probably have noticed it the second you step outside. But also, as we go out into the afternoon time, it's going to be another lovely, beautiful day. Not as nice as it was yesterday, but still nonetheless another nice, lovely day. I'm thinking about 80 here in Victoria today. Everybody else is going to see about the same thing in the low 80s at 80 or 81 today. Although some of us could also see 78, 79 today. Also, you're on the immediate coast, you might see highs in the mid to very low upper 70s for today. So definitely get out there and enjoy that lovely weather after that fall front came through yesterday. But looking at your dew points today, another thing that's going to be nice today is the humidity. Usually we're looking at real high humidity during the daytime, but our dew points, they're going to be dropping to the 40s again today. So bringing us another lovely day out there today. So definitely get out there and enjoy it. But in the background, if you do go outside and enjoy this lovely weather we're having, I want to let y'all know behind the scenes, I've had some of the worst allergies I probably had here in the last year. So I would recommend taking an allergy pill today. Ragweed is high and tree is going to be moderate today. UV index is going to be a little high, so it's nothing really to worry about. But if you're going down to the coast today, maybe soaking up some of that sun or going fishing out there, slightly choppy waves out there, that's not too bad. And your water cooled off just a little bit back into the 70s after the front came through yesterday. But we got a few more days of beautiful, lovely mid-80s weather to come our way before we're heating up next week. But coming up next, we're taking a look at what's trying to form out there in the tropics.
The Battle of Victoria happened between the Victoria East Titans and the Victoria West Warriors here last night. And for East, they wanted to make some history, see if they can get a win with their first ever win versus West in volleyball. Would that happen last night? Let's check out here the highlights. The first set was very competitive, with West hanging on to win 25-21. But after the first set, then West started to just take control. They won the second set 25-12 and then 25-11 Victoria East star Addison Azuna had 12 kills last night, and also Jade McIntosh had 14 assists and 7 digs there for East. Now for West, they had great contributions around from Kristen Kotak, Avery Griffin, and then number 12 Hannah Loest. And the Warriors, they're going to be off here next year coming up Friday, and then they'll play again against next Tuesday at Terry, while East, they play on the road versus Terry High School this Friday. This is Max Williams, 25 News Now Sports.
Both presidential candidates got out of their comfort zones Wednesday, but former President Trump took questions during a town hall held by a Spanish-speaking network, Univision, and Vice President Harris rallied again in Pennsylvania before sitting down with Fox News.
In suburban Pennsylvania Wednesday, Vice President Harris pitched common ground to an audience of mostly Republicans.
At stake in this race are the democratic ideals that our founders and generations of Americans before us have fought for.
Harris continued to blast Trump as a threat to democracy at the rally and during a contentious interview with Fox News, a network that frequently criticizes her and praises her opponent.
You've been vice president for 3.5 years, so what are you turning the page from?
Well, first of all, turning the page from the last decade in which we've been burdened with the kind of rhetoric coming from Donald Trump that has been designed and implemented to divide our country and have Americans literally point fingers at each other.
She repeatedly turned attention to Trump, calling into question his mental fitness. Trump, taking questions from Latino Americans at a Univision town hall, was asked about January 6th and regarding the violent mob that injured police officers, vandalized the Capitol, and called for the hanging of Mike Pence if he certified the election results. Trump said this.
This was a tiny percentage of the overall, which nobody sees and nobody shows. But that was a day of love.
And when asked if he could explain his gun control policy to the parents of school shooting victims, Trump doubled down on the Second Amendment.
I think that if you ever tried to get rid of it, you wouldn't be able to do it. You wouldn't be able to take away the guns because people need that for security.
On reproductive rights, Trump suggested some states need to redo the exceptions on abortion laws and coined himself as the father of IVF, which Harris said was bizarre. Christiane Cordero, ABC News, Washington.
Wednesday marked the second day at the 5-day Calhoun County Fair in Port Lavaca. It's surrounded by fun, laughter, and a whole lot of cows and hogs. The fair had a day full of showing rabbits, chickens, and of course the hog show. The exhibitors showed their animals Wednesday and were ranked from first to last.
The show, so the exhibitors showed their animals and were placed, and then tomorrow evening at 6:30 is the Junior Livestock Auction, which is a chance for all these exhibitors to come out and show all their hard work and sell their animals. So for most, it's the most important part of the project, the animal project. It's an opportunity for them to raise money, to most of them use it for their college education or to buy an animal for next year.
Walz says that the next election will be held at 6:30 p.m. The time is now 6:44 on our Thursday morning. Still to come, we learn how a woman's experience with domestic violence changed her life.
Well, good morning, Crossroads. I'm sure a lot of you are wondering what's going on out there in the tropics because we're right here on the coast. We got to worry about the tropics. Well, we're still watching 2 areas of possible tropical entrance over the next week out there, and one in the Caribbean and the others in the Atlantic. Starting out with the one in the Caribbean, there's this one little area of interest that the Hurricane Center is watching, this little yellow X right here. Chances of development over the next 7 days are suggested by the Hurricane Center are at 20%, so not super high, so we're not really expecting anything super serious to come out of this. But if anything does happen, what we're looking at is computers are suggesting is that over time, all these thunderstorms that are right here in the Western Caribbean are going to continue developing. And actually, you can see a little bit of rotation right down there in this little bay right here, just southeast of San Andres. That's going to continue developing thunderstorms, and over time, over this weekend and early next week, something may develop over there, and that's going to move westward or west-northwest into parts of Central America and also parts of southern Mexico as well. So that's the good news for us. We're not going to have anything coming our way with that one. But as we look a little bit further out in the deep Atlantic, we do have another system way out there. This one right here in the western Central Atlantic. That's going to continue moving on a more westerly course, moving into the Greater and Lesser and Greater Antilles Islands as we go until late next week. So we're going to continue watching that one. Good news is on that one as well, I don't think anything's going to come our away because we got a big, gigantic high-pressure dome that is kind of hovering over the United States. So forming anything that does form here, it's going to be encouraged to move more westward. So good news for us. Not going to come our way. But we do have another tropical wave that just came off the western coast of Africa. This one, computers are suggesting, is going to move all the way across the Atlantic, and we'll be watching that one over the next 2 to 3 weeks. We're going to look at that and more coming up later on Sunrise.
We turn our attention to a story that affects far too many families, domestic violence. Today is Go Purple Day, a national day of action each October during Domestic Violence Awareness Month, a time to bring light to the issue and provide support to survivors. 25 News Now, Shauna Curry spoke with a Victoria woman whose life was forever changed by domestic violence.
Last year, Mackenzie Garrett lost her mother Brandy to domestic violence. Mackenzie says her mother tried to hide the abuse, but the warning signs were there.
I think she really thought she could change him, that he was fixable or that this was going to not happen again, you know, because every time something happens, it's not going to happen again, and I'm just so sorry, and, you know, you get the great apology, but it always happens again.
Mackenzie is sharing her story in the hopes that others will seek help before it's too late. According to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, 1 in 4 women and 1 in 9 men experience severe intimate partner violence. But many cases go unreported and the consequences can be devastating. Jenny Stafford is the CEO of Midcoast Family Services, an organization that helps survivors of domestic violence.
Unfortunately, it's probably one of the most prevalent crimes that occurs in our city, but it's probably one of the most underreported crimes as well. Victims usually don't call the first time or 2 or 5 times that they're assaulted or threatened or manipulated in some way.
Stafford says it's crucial for friends and family to recognize the signs of abuse, physical, emotional, or even financial, and take action.
And so it's those early warning signs of control, and then very often it turns into not being able to hang out with your friends or your family, trying to isolate you from that support group who may see the warning signs.
Mackenzie and other family members noticed her mother's light start to dim shortly after her mother was married.
She wouldn't do things when he was around or he had to come, so it was you could never just have her.
Midcoast Family Services provides shelter, counseling, and legal support for survivors. Stafford says awareness is key, especially in breaking the silence around domestic abuse. She urges anyone in danger or in need of help to reach out.
We have a 24-hour hotline that's answered every day, all day. We never not answer. And if people don't feel safe doing that, they can also go on our webpage and do a text or a message there that has an automatic escape feature on it, so you can text and nobody will ever know. It's protected that way. But we have a 24-hour shelter. We offer the safety features so that you can be safe behind multiple layers of protection.
For Mackenzie, speaking out is a way to honor her mother and prevent others from enduring the same pain. A judge sentenced Brandy's abuser to 99 years in prison, but for Mackenzie, it's a small consolation.
She never met a stranger. She, was fun. She was outgoing. She loved everybody and everything in life. She really did love life, and that's just, you can't replace it.
It's important to remember that help is available 24/7. If you or someone you know needs assistance, don't hesitate to reach out to organizations like Midcoast Family Services or the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Your safety matters. Shauna Curry, 25 News Now.
Still to come on Sunrise, news to know before you go. The president is headed to Europe. Learn which world leaders he plans to meet with. President Joe Biden is heading to Germany today. It's a trip he postponed last week due to Hurricane Milton. Biden is expected to discuss support for Ukraine with European leaders. Officials say he's set to meet with the German, French, and British heads of state. The trip comes a day after the White House unveiled another $425 million in military aid for Ukraine. But American support hangs in the balance as the U.S. election approaches. Just a day before his scheduled Thursday execution, a death row inmate has been subpoenaed to testify before a Texas House committee. Robert Roberson's attorney says there is new medical and scientific evidence that shows Roberson's chronically ill daughter, Nikki, died of natural and accidental causes, not abuse. The Texas Committee on Criminal Jurisprudence has scheduled the hearing for Monday. The committee is not totally confident with Roberson's execution. Is not totally confident the execution will be delayed, but a source says they are hopeful. Amazon says it will invest $500 million in nuclear projects, and it will provide money to explore the development of small modular nuclear reactors, or SMRs, an advanced type of reactor. SMRs leave a smaller footprint that allows the reactors to be built close to the grid. Analysts say Amazon's need for power will grow as the company expands into generative AI. Other tech giants like Google have also bought into nuclear power as they try to meet the growing demand for power from data centers. Join 25 News Now, the Victoria Advocate, and the Victoria Chamber of Commerce for a political forum with candidates for state representative in District 3. The forum takes place on Wednesday at 6 p.m. at Walker Auditorium. Hear from Democrat Stephanie Basham and Republican A.J. Louderback as they vie for your vote. And we want to invite you to experience our digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. You can find it on your connected TV through Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV, Android TV. Just search for Crossroads Today Plus. And now let's get a look at our dark, beautiful sunrise in Port Lavaca with Parker.
That's right, Carol. It is kind of a little bit of a dark, kind of pretty sunrise, though. We got a little pink right there on the horizon, but everywhere else it's kind of pretty dark out there as the sun is starting to slowly come up in the sky. But it's a lovely time to go see that sunrise right now. We're sitting at 61 degrees along the coast right now in Port Lavaca. Dew point 45, about 16 degrees off, though. Bringing humidity to 54%, so that's pretty lovely out there. I would definitely recommend getting out there and enjoy this kind of cooler weather today. But look at your satellite. You actually just saw right there on the Port Lavaca camera, not too many clouds out there, maybe just a few thin cirrus clouds out there. But as we go into the afternoon time today, I think clouds are going to start picking back up to cloudy skies today as we get a little bit more of a Gulf wind. But look at these beautiful temperatures all across our beautiful state today. We got lots of 70s, even some low 80s out there today. So look a little bit closer at home, though. I'm thinking about 78 today in Port Lavaca. Like I said, a few cloudy skies starting to increase as we go into the afternoon time. A little bit warmer. I'm thinking of Victoria today, a nice lovely 80 flat today. And about the same thing in Cuero as Victoria today. I'm thinking about 80 as well. Also, look at that, low 70s at noontime. Definitely get out there and enjoy this lovely fall weather, because as we go into this weekend, we're going to pick up a little bit of a Gulf southeast wind, and that's going to start bringing back some more partly cloudy skies and warming our lows back up to the mid 60s, and also warmer highs back to the upper 80s and low 90s for next week.
All right, maybe time to start turning on the heat.
Oh yeah, we haven't worried about that time yet, but.
Yeah, you want to turn it on and leave the house for a little bit so you don't have to get all that dust in your nose.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, well, remember to follow us on our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today, and join Shauna, Dawn, Mac, and Max today for 25 News Now at 5, 6, and 10. And don't forget to pick up your Victoria Advocate.